Lakshmi Prasanna, Assistant Professor, Department of ECE, Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. In this session, we will discuss about DMA controller. So here, different DMA controllers are there. We have 8237 IC. It is also one of the DMA controller, and we also have other DMA controllers like 8257. So these are the mostly used DMA controller ICs. Now, before learning about any IC, first we should know what is the need of that IC. So in this session, we are going to discuss about the need of DMA controller and what is the advantage of using this DMA controller. And among this 8237 and 8257 DMA controller, we will discuss in detail about 8257 DMA controller. Now, so DMA stands for Direct Memory Access. So in the name itself says the memory can be accessed directly. That means the IO devices can access memory directly without involving the microprocessor. And so this DMA, it is one of the data transfer method in between the memory and peripheral devices. So here the peripheral devices we can use is any IO devices and memory can be used. So in order to transfer the data between the main memory and the IO devices, this DMA data transfer method will be preferred. And this DMA, that is direct memory access, it is a hardware unit. Now, so here the data transfer will be done between main memory and IO devices. The data transfer between these two will be controlled with the help of this hardware unit, and the hardware unit here, it is called DMA controller. Now, so the DMA controller is going to transfer the data between the main memory and IO devices without involving the microprocessor. So there is a drawback if microprocessor is involved every time when data transfer is required between main memory and IO devices. That is why we have to isolate this microprocessor. Once if the system bus is accessed by the DMA controller, then the data transfer can be done between main memory and IO devices without involving CPU, that is microprocessor. So that is why the name is called Direct Memory Access. So IO devices can access the memory directly without involving the microprocessor with the help of this hardware unit which is called DMA controller. Now, so here basically previously DMA controller was not used. That means in the conventional method, how the data transfer is happened between the IO devices and memory, and also we will discuss here what are all the drawbacks during this conventional method data transfer. So generally in this conventional method, it represents when DMA controller is not involved. The IO devices and memory used to transfer the data with the help of microprocessor. Like here, if we consider, let us see here, this is a microprocessor and here memory will be there and the data transfer should happen between IO devices and memory. So if it is a conventional method, how the data transfer will happen means, first the IO device has to request for the microprocessor. Then microprocessor will send a signal to the memory. Then memory will be accessed by the microprocessor and that microprocessor will send the information to the IO devices. So this is the conventional method of data transfer. That means first here the IO device has to send the data to the microprocessor. Then the microprocessor will send the information to the memory. Then only the data will be transferred. This is the case in the conventional method. So here in the conventional method, data transfer happens through program instructions. So here in the conventional method, the data transfer will be happening due to this program instructions. That is by using software, not hardware. So in the conventional method, using program instructions means with the help of a program, the data will be transferred between IO devices and microprocessor, and from microprocessor to the memory. So this is what happens in the conventional method. So in the conventional method, the data transfer happens through program instructions. So because of this program instructions only, the drawback will be occurring. So here in this case, so generally here the IO devices can be any IO device. But here in this conventional method, when the drawback occurs means, if the IO devices, for example, if they are fast devices, that means if the selected IO devices are fast devices, for example, either it may be hard disk or optical disk. So these are the fast devices. So if any of these may be under this IO devices, so why they are called fast devices means the data rate in these devices will be high, fast. Okay, so they are called fast devices because the data rate is very fast in this hard disk or optical disk. So when this IO devices are the fast devices, in order to transfer the data by using this conventional method, the drawback will happen because the data transfer is happening because of this program instructions. So generally how the program instructions will be taken by the microprocessor means, in order to fetch the instruction and in order to decode and execute that particular instruction, it will take large amount of time. That means it will take more amount of time compared to the data transfer based on this fast devices. So in such cases, what is the drawback means? So here in this conventional method, so in this case, in order to fetch the instruction, so in order to fetch the instruction and execute the instruction, in order to fetch the instruction or execute the instruction, it will take some time. Okay, so the microprocessor will be doing all this fetching and executing procedure. But what happens to this fast devices? The data rate will be fast. But here it is taking more amount of time for fetching and decoding. So if this is the case in the conventional method, what happens here means, so the time taken to fetch and execute the instruction is less than that of data rate of this fast devices. That of data rate of, so the fast devices here we have considered is hard disk or optical disk. Optical disk or hard disk. Okay, so this is the main drawback in this conventional method. So the time taken to execute fetch and execute the instruction is taking more amount of time compared to this data rate of the faster devices. So this is the main drawback in this conventional method. So in order to avoid this drawback, we are going for one hardware unit which is called DMA controller. That means, so the CPU is taking more amount of time for fetching and decoding. So in order to avoid this in the conventional method, we are going to make this microprocessor, that is CPU, isolate. So how we are making this CPU isolate means by using the hardware unit which is called DMA controller in between the IO devices and memory. So once the bus is accessed by this DMA controller, the CPU will get isolated, that is microprocessor will get isolated, and the data transfer will be performed between the IO devices and main memory directly. So now data transfer by using DMA controller. So how the data transfer will be happen means, so suppose if we consider this as a memory and here these are the IO devices, and here we should have one important hardware unit which is called DMA controller. Okay. So here what the IO devices will do means, the IO devices will send the request to this DMA controller, and the DMA controller will send that to the memory. And here from the memory, again the signal will goes to the DMA controller, and by using this DMA controller, the information will be sent through to the IO devices. So by using this DMA controller, this is how the data will be transferred. So generally here we will have a microprocessor. Once the bus access is given to this DMA controller, this microprocessor will get isolated and the data transfer will happen between this main memory and IO devices directly by using this DMA controller. No need for using this microprocessor, no need of fetching and decoding and all. So in the conventional method, that is in the previous method, the data transfer is performed by using the software instructions. But here in this case, since here DMA controller is used, the data transfer is performed between the memory and IO devices by using the hardware unit which is called DMA controller. So in this case, data transfer from IO to memory directly is done directly by using hardware unit which is called DMA controller. Okay. So this is the main advantage of using this DMA controller. Here the data rate is also fast compared to the conventional method. The speed of operation will be high. So this is the difference between, so this DMA controller is used for data transfer. Okay. So compared to the conventional method, that means the data transfer happened by using the software instructions. In this method, the data transfer is performed by using the hardware unit. So if we use this hardware unit and perform the data transfer between IO devices and memory, the data transfer rate will be increased compared to the software instructions. So that is why we can say here, this is faster than the software type of data transfer. So that is why we will prefer this DMA controller hardware unit in order to transfer the data between IO devices and main memory. So this is the advantage of using DMA controller compared to the conventional method. Now, so here, now need of DMA controller. Here DMA stands for direct memory access. That means the IO devices can access the memory directly without involving microprocessor. So since here in this method, by using the hardware unit, that is DMA controller, the data transfer is performed between IO devices and main memory by isolating CPU. That is why the transfer of data will be fast. That means a higher amount of data can be transferred. Now, so here when this DMA controller is used, in which cases this DMA controller is necessary means, suppose in some cases, if large amount of data is involved, that means if large amount of data is transferring between the IO devices and main memory, in such cases what happens means, the delays are going to be very large. So if delays are very large, the entire process will be slowed down if the IO transfer, that is data transfer between IO devices and main memory happens through CPU. Okay, so the problem mainly occurs when large amount of data is involved in transferring between IO devices and main memory. Now, how this problem can be solved means by using the DMA controller hardware unit. So with the help of this DMA controller, what we can do means the CPU, that is microprocessor, can be isolated. That is, here no need to use microprocessor every time. That means no need this IO devices every time asking permission of this microprocessor and then microprocessor giving permission to the IO devices for data transfer between main memory and IO devices. So this, if this DMA controller hardware unit is used, this CPU, that is microprocessor, will get isolated, that is separated, and the data transfer happen between main memory and IO devices directly. So this is the main advantage, and this is how the data transfer will be performed between the IO devices and main memory. Hence, the transfer of data at the fastest rate can be achieved. Now, so here since we are isolating the microprocessor, okay, isolating the microprocessor means we are not involving that microprocessor. So since this CPU is not involved, it requires a separate controller, that is hardware unit, in order to perform these operations. So these operations means isolating CPU, transferring the data between IO devices and memory. In order to make all these complete process, we need to use this separate controller, and that controller name is called DMA controller. And so if we observe this block diagram, this is the block diagram that says how the DMA operation is performed. The basic block diagram saying the DMA operation. Now, so here the peripheral device is there, and here the memory is available, and here the microprocessor is there. And this DMA controller is compatible with microprocessors like 8085 and 8086 also. So the microprocessor type can be any microprocessor here. Now, so the main aim here is to transfer the data between these peripheral devices and main memory. So for example, if this DMA controller is not involved, all the switches will be, so if we consider this, it is a up position. So this is the switch actually. All the switches, so if you observe here, this is address bus, data bus and control bus. That means all these three together generally called as a system bus. So in first case, for example, assume that the DMA controller is not involved. So in such cases, all the switches will be connected to the up position. That means if the switches are connected to the up position means all the switches are connected to this microprocessor. That means this peripheral device has to send a signal to the microprocessor, then microprocessor will send a signal to the memory. This is how the data transfer will be performed if DMA controller is not involved. So as we know, since every time it has to ask the microprocessor for data transfer, the data rate will be slow. Now, here, if this, in second case, if you observe, in second case, here in the second case, generally, that means when the DMA controller is involved, how the data transfer will be happen. That means all the switches here, so previously we have considered this as a up position. But when the DMA controller is involved, all the switches will changes the position to down. So let us consider here, this is a down switch. So when the DMA controller is involved, all the switches will changes the position, and all the switches, if changes the position towards down, all the switches will be connected to this DMA controller unit. Now here it means this DMA controller will come into the action. So what is the first thing it will be performed means, here this peripheral device, first it sends the DREQ signal to the DMA controller. So here this DREQ signal says DMA request. That means this peripheral device is asking for the DMA request. And so when this DMA controller gets this DMA request signal from any of the IO device, then the DMA controller is going to send one signal which is called HRQ to 8086 or any microprocessor. So here HRQ represents hold request. And when this microprocessor gets the hold signal, when the microprocessor gets the hold signal from this DMA controller, then the microprocessor, after receiving that hold signal, it is going to send a signal which is called HLDA signal to the DMA controller. So that is the third signal. HLDA represents hold acknowledgement. Hold acknowledgement signal. So this DMA controller, after receiving this hold acknowledgement signal, it is going to send the DMA acknowledgement signal to the peripheral device. So DMA acknowledgement, it is represented as DACK0. So it represents DMA acknowledgement. So generally here, first the peripheral device, it is going to send the DMA request. That means this peripheral device is asking the DMA controller to perform the data transfer. So once if this DMA controller gets this DREQ signal, it is going to send HRQ signal to the microprocessor. So the HRQ signal of this DMA controller will be connected to the hold signal of 8086 microprocessor. So the DMA controller, if it sends the hold signal, what it represents means the DMA controller is asking the system bus access from this 8086, that is microprocessor, by sending a signal called hold signal. Now, microprocessor, after receiving this hold signal, it is going to send the hold acknowledgement signal. That means the HLDA signal of microprocessor will be connected to HLDA signal of this DMA controller. So the microprocessor sending this hold acknowledgement signal means the microprocessor giving its willingness to release the system bus access to the requested DMA controller. Now, after receiving the hold acknowledgement signal, the DMA controller is going to send the DMA acknowledgement signal to the IO device. So once if IO device, that is peripheral device, gets this DMA acknowledgement signal, it understands that the system bus access has been taken by the DMA controller, and now the data transfer can be happened between this peripheral device and microprocessor directly. So all the switches will be connected towards down position. So this is how the DMA operation is performed in the two cases. That means in the first case when DMA is not involved, in the second case when DMA is involved. And here to this address bus, generally we know 8086 microprocessor, it is having 20-bit address bus and 16-bit data bus. So among that 20-bit address bus, here we have address data multiplexer lines in 8086 microprocessor, that is from AD0 to AD15. So these are the multiplexed address and data lines. So these multiplexed address and data lines will be given to latches here, address latches. And we have already discussed about the function of this address latches. These latches are used to separate the address and data from address data multiplex lines. So how they are going to separate means by using a signal called ALE. So ALE stands for address latch enable. So if this ALE signal is 1, here from the latches, the output of this latches will be address. Okay, and before this, the data will be separated. So that is the main purpose of this latches. It is these latches are used to demultiplex the address and data multiplex lines. And with the help of this ALE signal. And we can observe here, there are different control signals available here, which plays the major role. So the control signals are here, IO read, IO write, memory read and memory write. So these are the 4 control signals that will be connected to the control bus. And how they will be connected and how they will be interacted means, here in this DMA controller, we have the same control signals, and in 8086 microprocessor also we have IO read, IO write, memory read and memory write signals. So how the DMA controller is going to send the control signals means, the IO read of the DMA controller will be connected to the IO read of microprocessor. So in the same way, remaining control signals will be connected to the same control signals of the processor. So using these control signals, the read and write operation between the memory and IO devices will be performed. So totally this block diagram represents how the DMA operation is performed. And just we have discussed about how the DMA operation is performed in 2 cases. So when the DMA is not performed, that means when DMA controller hardware unit is not used, all the switches will be connected such that the microprocessor is connected to the address bus, data bus and control bus. That means all the switches will be connected to the up position, to the microprocessor. In the second case, when DMA is performed, that means if we are using this DMA controller hardware unit, all the switches will be changing its position. That means all the switches will be connected to the DMA controller. And this CPU will get isolated. Here CPU is nothing but microprocessor. So all the switches will changes the position, and it makes the CPU to get isolated. Then the data will be transferred between the I/O devices and memory. Such a process is called DMA, that is direct memory access. Now, so recalling that same block diagram, how the signals will be means, here initially how the operation is performed between I/O devices and memory by using the hardware unit, DMA controller, and how the system bus access is taken by the microprocessor. That means here we have discussed about the 4 important signals called hold request, hold acknowledgement, DMA request, and DMA acknowledgement. So how the 4 signals will be performed in order to transfer the data between main memory and I/O devices. So initially when the device has to send data between the device and memory, the device has to send the DMA request to the DMA controller. So the DMA controller send hold request to the CPU and it wait for the CPU to assert the hold acknowledgement. So that is what we have observed. Like if you observe here, this is a I/O device and here we can have DMA controller. So the I/O device is going to send DREQ signal, and this DREQ signal, after received by this DMA controller, it is going to send to the microprocessor HRQ signal. Okay, so this is the HRQ signal to the CPU and it waits for the CPU to assert the hold acknowledgement signal. Okay, then after some time it is going to send hold acknowledgement signal. So if it sends the hold acknowledgement signal, it represents the system bus has been the system bus access has been given to DMA controller. So it represents the data bus, address bus and control bus are now with DMA controller, not with the microprocessor. Now, so the CPU leaves the control over the bus and acknowledges the hold request through HLDA signal to the DMA controller. So after getting the hold acknowledgement signal, the DMA controller is going to send the DMA acknowledgement signal to the peripheral device, saying that the system bus access is taken by the DMA controller and no need now CPU. That means here HLDA, after receiving this HLDA by the DMA controller, it is going to send the DMA acknowledgement, that is DACK signal to the I/O device. Now, so this is how the operation is performed when DMA controller is involved and when DMA controller is not involved. So up to now we have discussed about what is the need of DMA controller. Now, so there are different types of DMA controllers. So 8237 is one of the DMA controller and this 8257 is also one of the DMA controller IC. Now we will discuss about this 8257 DMA controller. Now, first we will see the features of this DMA controller. Here, this, so 8237 will be having different features and 8257 is having different features. Now we are discussing about the features of 8257. So this 8257 IC consists of 4 channels. So what are that 4 channels means? CH0, CH1, CH2 and CH3. These are the 4 channels. That means to each channel, one I/O device can be connected. So since there are 4 channels here, 4 I/O devices can be connected. And next one is here, each channel consists of 16-bit address bus and 14-bit counter register. So here we can also say the 16-bit address register and 16-bit counter register also. Why we are saying here 14-bit counter register means among that 16-bit counter register, only 14 bits are related to the count. So the remaining, that is the last MSB 2 bits, that is 15th bit and 16th bit, those two represents the read and write operation. So one of the bit is RD bar and another bit is WR bar. So since only 4 bits are used, 14 bits are involved in this counting part, that is why we will say that 14-bit counter register, whereas the 15th bit and 16th bit, they represents the type of operation, that is read and write. So since here we have 4 IO devices, 4 channels, each channel consists of 16-bit address register and 14-bit counter register. So since there are 4 channels, we will have 4 address registers and 4 counter registers. And each channel can transfer data up to 64 KB. And each channel can be programmed independently. So how each channel can be programmed independently means, because each channel consists of address register and counter register. Not only this address and counter register, we have 2 other registers which are common to all the 4 channels. They are mode set register and status register. So totally if we count the number of registers in this 8257 DMA controller, the number of registers available here are 10. So by changing the bits in that required registers, each channel can be programmed independently. And each channel can perform different operations like read transfer, write transfer and verify transfer operations. And other features of 8257 DMA controller are, it generates mark signal. Okay. So what is this mark signal means? If you observe the pin diagram of this DMA controller, among many pins, one of the pin is this mark signal. One of the pin name is mark. So when this mark signal is enabled, it indicates that 128 bytes have been transferred. And this DMA controller operating frequency is from 250 Hz to 3 MHz. So the main feature of this DMA controller is, it can be operated in 2 modes. One is master mode, another one is slave mode. So there is a small difference between this master mode and slave mode. Here, what is meant by the slave mode means, when this 8257 DMA controller is operating in the slave mode, the CPU, that is in our case microprocessor. So when this DMA controller is operating in the slave mode, the CPU and DMA controller will be interacting. That means the data transfer will be performed with the help of these 2 devices only. Only those 2 will be interacting. No question of here IO devices and memory. And the next mode is here master mode. So when this 8257 DMA controller is operating in the master mode, in this case, the DMA controller connects main memory and IO devices. So here in the master mode, only we will have DMA controller, memory and IO devices. So in this case, the CPU will be isolated. Microprocessor will be isolated. Now, so the DMA controller generally, which is widely used, is this Intel 8257 DMA controller. This Intel 8257 DMA controller is a 40-pin IC, and all the pins in that IC are arranged in the dual inline package. Now, so here we know that 4 channels are there, that is channel 0, channel 1, channel 2 and channel 3. Just now we have seen the features. The first feature itself is this DMA controller is having 4 channels. So these are the 4 channels. So here we can make this DMA controller operating in the fixed priority mode or rotating priority mode. So when it is operating in the fixed priority mode, by default, channel 0 will be having the highest priority, and the next one, channel 3 will be having the least priority when it is operating in the fixed priority mode. When it is operating in the rotating priority mode, the priority will be rotating in the cyclic manner. That means the channel which is operating present, after getting the service, it will be going to the least priority, and the channel that is going to service next will be having the highest priority. So if you see in this case, first channel 1 is serviced. After completing the service of channel 1, automatically the next channel which is going to service will be having the highest priority, and the channel which has been serviced will be going to the least priority. And now, since channel 2 has the highest priority, it will be executing. After it completes the execution, it goes to the least priority, and the channel that is going to service next will be having the highest priority. So after this is serviced, the least priority will be allocated for this channel, that is the IO devices connected to that channel. Least priority will be given, and the channel that is going to perform next transfer will be having the highest priority. So this is how the rotating priority will be operated. Now, so coming to here, this 8257, it is a DMA controller. So this is 8257 DMA controller. So here it is a 40 pin IC. So here are all the 40 pins, and all the 40 pins are arranged in the dual inline package. That is from 1 to 20 at one edge, and from 21 to 40 the other side. So all the 40 pins are arranged in the dual inline package. So generally in the features we have seen that 4 channels are there. So 4 IO devices can be connected. So how the IO device can perform the data transfer between main memory and IO devices means by using the DMA request and DMA acknowledgement signals. So if there is only one peripheral device, it can use only one channel. But if there are 4 channels, 4 IO devices can be connected. So each IO device is having its own DMA request and DMA acknowledgement signals. So here if we observe DRQ0, DRQ1, DRQ2 and DRQ3. So from DRQ0 to DRQ3. These represents DMA request signals. So since there are 4 channels, 4 DMA request signals are there. So here, since these are the handshaking signals, in the same way, we will have here 4 DMA acknowledgement signals also. That is from DACK0 to DACK3. Okay, so on the top we will have bar here. Why? Because they are active low signals. So these are called DMA acknowledgement signals. Okay, so just we have seen in the features, when the mark signal is asserted, it indicates that 128 bytes have been transferred. So here we can see here mark signal. Okay, so that is the mark signal which indicates 128 bytes transfer. So if we observe the pin diagram here, clearly the signal directions are given. See here, some of the signals represents the direction like this. So those signals are bidirectional signals. So if you observe, some of the signals are direction is outwards. So they are called output signals for this DMA controller. Okay. And here some of the signals are input signals. They are inputs for this DMA controller. And coming to the first line here, this is IOR bar and IOW bar. So this IOR bar, they are active low signals. And this IOW bar, it is also active low signal. They are bidirectional signals. That means they will be acting as input pin and output pin. That means here just we have discussed this 8257 can be operated in master mode and slave mode. Okay. So based on the mode, those signals are acting as bidirectional signals. In one case, they will be acting as input signals. In another mode, they will be acting as output signals. So this IOR represents IO read and this IOW represents IO write. And the next signal MR and MW. So MR bar and MW bar. So they are active low signals. They are the output signals. Okay. So this is called memory read signal and this is called memory write signal. Okay. And the next signal is here, sixth one. It is a ready signal. As we know, in 8086 microprocessor also ready signal is there. This ready signal is especially for slower devices. And the next one is HLDA. So HLDA represents, this is the input signal. So it represents hold acknowledgement. So it represents hold acknowledgement. Okay. And next one is here ADS-TB. So this is the new signal. We did not come across this up to now. So ADS-TB. So it represents address strobe. That is the address strobe. And next, ninth signal is AEN. So AEN represents address enable. So here this AEN signal of this DMA controller will be connected to address/enable signal of 8086 microprocessor. So why? Because this AEN signal means here also we have address data multiplexer lines. So in order to demultiplex this address and data multiplexer lines, we have to use this AEN signal. And this is next signal is HRQ. So this HRQ represents hold request. Okay. So as we have seen the basic DMA operation, this HRQ signal will be connected between the DMA controller and microprocessor. And this is CS bar. So CS bar represents chip select. So this is the signal which is going to enable this 8257 DMA controller. And next one is here 12, that is clock signal. So clock signal represents the basic operation in order to synchronize all the blocks in the 8257 DMA controller. And next one is reset. If once the signal is enabled, this 8257 will get reset. That means all the registers available in this 8257 DMA controller will get enabled again. And this is the ground signal. It is ground for this 8257 DMA controller. And next all these we have, that is from D0, A8 to D7, A15. So all these are address, data, multiplexer lines. Address, data, multiplexer lines. And here if you see, this is A0 to A3 and A4 to A7. So totally we have A0 to A7. So all these are the address lines, and this is a TC, which represents terminal count. That means if all the DMA cycles have been completed, this terminal count signal will be enabled. So all these are the 40 pins of this DMA controller. So in the next session, we will discuss about the function of each signal in detail. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.